the Inner Music Podcast. Your voice for a better life. So, what I want to talk to you about today is intuition. Our big friend, intuition. And I think it's safe to say that there is some misunderstandings going on around this topic. Because I hear people say, like, intuition is something you have to develop, or it is very much tied to the spiritual realm. It has a lot of like spiritual air around it. While I actually think that intuition is something very natural. You could even say like we're born with this natural guidance system. And I think a lot of children are very much still tuned in to this guidance system. And that's why they why they make a fuss. I would say even if your children make a fuss, you did something right because they somehow still are connected to what's right for them and what's not. So I think that you could say that our intuition nowadays is buried under many layers of, you could even say maybe dishonesty. And I don't mean that in a judgmental way, but I mean that we are living a life in many times in a people-pleasing way. So we have the tendency to display behavior and ideas that we know are acknowledged as good or are appreciated by others or by society in general, while actually we are way more complicated than that. And even though we might be very good at showing wanted behavior, that doesn't mean that there isn't like a ton of emotions or desires within us, or needs or preferences that are always inside of us, but we don't feel safe to show. And I think that actually, like, finding your way back to this intuition or to this guidance system is way easier than we think it is. It is as if we've made it into something really special and something far away and something for a few woohoo people that meditate enough. But actually, an easy way to like return to this natural guidance system, I would say, is if we would just express ourselves a little more, if we would become a little more honest, even if it was just for ourselves. Like, I don't even necessarily mean that you have to do that while you're interacting with others, but to align with yourself in an honest way. How am I doing? Oh, I feel frustrated. Okay, frustration. If I'm really honest, I'm frustrated, for example. Giving ourselves time to really feel that, express that, maybe sing with it, maybe just speak, scream. Clearing out anything that feels disturbing. And then it's basically what I think what many people intend to do when they do meditation. It's like they say, oh, we're calming the mind. Yes. To all this chatter in the mind, there's emotions attached. If you just allow this energy, these emotions to express, then there comes a sense of relief or release. And as if from like stillness, the intuition can start to speak. Like if you're constantly busy or filled up because you're triggered, or you're having just an overload of information because you work so hard, for example, or you're constantly amongst other people, then it's hard to hear like the silent voice of your inner voice, you could even say. When you clear out on a daily basis, then that's when that intuition just speaks to you. For some people, it speaks in words, but for some people, I think for many people, it's more like a sense or a sensation, just like a knowing, like, ooh, I should do this. Oh, I should wait a bit with sending this email. It doesn't make sense, but I think I need to wait. Just these tiny moments of knowing or of insight where you're like, yeah, this makes sense, of course. But it requires, like I said, some sort of honesty of where am I really, what is actually really going on in my mind. Instead of like constantly tuning into your outer world and being in interaction with that and searching for acknowledgement, okayness, but tuning within. It also has to do with trust. Knowing that there is a source of wisdom within you that you can't control. So we think we learn only by thinking and by looking in the outside world, deducting, making conclusions. While actually there is like a source of wisdom within you that we are all connected to that has like an overflow or an abundance of knowing. But it never imposes itself on you. It is patient. It is there whether you turn to it or not. And the question is like, do you dare to open up for this? Do you dare to trust that also you, just the average girl, the average guy, is connected to that, is tuned in, has the capability to just listen? But first, like, it's as if you could think of it as a radio station. So, for example, if like the radio station of this intuition, like the number is like 93.1 AM or something. You could say that when you try to dial into it, you first go to that phase where it's like hard to hear at all, and you're not even sure, like, am I gonna reach that right frequency? And that is what I mean with all the inner chatter, the inner words, the inner talk, the inner judgment, and also like just all the triggers that we collect, you could say, during the day that we don't really process. So we walk around and it seems that our mood shifts like randomly, from being happy and then talking to someone after that feeling sad, and then hop into the next conversation, into the next patient, next client, next meeting, next colleague. And at the end of the day, we're just like all overwhelmed or overloaded. And basically what we need is to like tune in to that other station. But that means that you first have to acknowledge, like, gosh, I am like, there is this, like that sound is going on within me. And what is really helpful is my experience also in working with clients is to just like, first of all, acknowledge that and allow that and express that. Because we are so used to only expressing what is wanted, or within certain boundaries. Like, okay, maybe you can be like a little irritated, but being angry is something that you better keep to yourself. Just being radically honest about what it is that you're actually feeling. And sometimes, like, just 2 minutes of that is enough. Sometimes we need 10, 20 minutes to just process and just allow, oh gosh, yes, and this, yeah, I was really annoyed in the meeting today that we had when we were talking about ABC. Or, oh God, this story that this client told me touched me so deeply. It made me think about something I went through when I was younger, for example. And just, okay, there's all these parts in us that don't get the chance to be heard. And then it gets all mixed up and it sounds like a very chaotic, disturbed frequency. So when we give ourselves time for expression, then there is always a moment where things are starting to feel clearer. Like, oh, maybe it's a sense of relief or a sense of calmness, peace, contentment. Sometimes it's like once you're like, whoop, okay, I feel complete. I think everything has been said or sung, expressed. And that is the time that you can start to drop into silence and start to listen to this inner voice, this actually where you naturally dial into this frequency of your intuition. And when you get to that place, you don't have to do anything. Basically, what you do is you just rest. And then there's sometimes ideas coming up, sometimes a strong feeling, maybe a desire, or maybe a knowing of, yep, need to do this. Or no, should say no to that. Even though sometimes with your thinking mind you can't understand, but it's just a source of clarity. And I'm positive that we all are always connected to that. And that's why sometimes we feel so shit, because we're not tuned into it, but it is giving us signals, but we just ignore. Well, actually our feeling or our gut feeling is already like pulling is like, no, that's not the way you want to go. And we like live more like habitually just because we've always done stuff like that. But actually there's like another path for you that is calling you. And the beautiful thing is that you can never get it wrong. So, and your intuition or your inner voice is like endlessly patient. It will never turn its back on you. It's always there, just sending out a subtle signal for you to pick up if you want to. And then more often we clear out, you could say, our space. So I do that with the help of vocal expression. In my experience, it is a very effective way to do that. Because in meditation, we sometimes get really like wind up in our head. Like we try to meditate, but then the chatter in our mind is so strong that it can be hard to really drop into that calmness, while music is a way to really bypass that mind and to just drop the stories and just connect only to the emotion that is there. Clear that out, clear that, maybe the energy out, that frequency out, however you want to call it. And then it's like a shortcut to dropping into silence and to opening up for this inner voice. This morning I guided an expression meditation. I'm hosting a retreat right now at the moment, and someone said, like, I'm so surprised that you can meditate while you're making sound. Like, we connect meditation a lot to complete silence, which is a beautiful way to do it. I've done it a lot, being in silence, but in my experience, adding sound is like, it's like the highway instead of instead of driving through the countryside and taking lots of detours. It's like just full gas and go. Because the voice, like, it is literally frequency. So it is like, it's sound waves that you create. And if you do that intentionally, connected to emotion, then you're just letting that frequency or like move out of you, move out of your body, move out of your system. So it's super powerful and a lot of fun as well. I think, like I said, intuition, it's not something to be learned. It's rather something to uncover. Just clear out the shit. Clear out. Do it consistently. Persist. And it's right there. It's right there. And you don't have to look for it. It's more like a being and trusting. And it starts to speak to you. It can start to speak in images, in colors, in feelings, in knowing and insights. And from living from that place and reconnecting to that place often makes life so much easier in my experience, because a lot of the times I just don't know, like, what is right for me? I don't know. Like, there's 100 options. How can I know what is the best option? Like, I don't know where it leads to. And then just recognizing more and more, what feels better, left or right? Left, of course. And then doing that over and over again and building trust in that it has always led me to unexpected, beautiful, miraculous developments in life that I couldn't always explain with my thinking mind. But it has given me so much peace, fun, joy, that that's why I felt called to talk about intuition. To get that misunderstanding out of the way, that it is for a happy few, or that it is something far away, or like, oh yeah, he or she, is really intuitive. Like, yeah, we all are. We all are. You are. You are. And it's finding your way to clear that mind, which starts with embracing and being honest about where you are. You don't have to be anywhere else. You don't have to, like, no one is expecting, although it may seem like that you're like working 40 hours and then after that are smiling and in complete peace. No, it's about becoming honest. Like, gosh, I can't work 40 hours and just be happy to peppy. And be completely tuned in. No. We're like living or many people are living in a constant overload. So acknowledge that, be honest. Say, gosh, nope, don't feel good. I need some time to become honest, become real, express, clear out all the bullshit that I took in today. And it's basically as simple as that. All right. Hope this was helpful. So, would love to hear from you. if this resonates, if it makes you curious, if it is your experience maybe already that it works like that. And if you're interested in trying out some of this work, you're very welcome. And you can look at my website. Wishing you a beautiful day and lots of love. For more information about my work, innermusicmethod.com.